Good afternoon. I'm here with the Mayor of Gosport, Cathy Jones. Do you want to say hello?
Hello to everybody.
I wanted to chat to you about Gosport and how it's changed over the years. One of the main things I recall is when we used to have the cars actually going up the high street, and the high street seemed more alive then. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I've been born and bred in Gosport, as most people know, if they know that I'm the mayor. And yes, we do remember the buses going up and down the high street. It seems such a long time ago. I'm just really trying to recall how old I'd be at the time. But the high streets were busier. Things are changing. We're in retail ourselves.
Yeah.
And the internet is changing everything in our lives, including the way we shop. So, I think that the fact that maybe there are not so many shops is the fact that people can get so much online,
Because the high street at the moment has gone, it's a lot quieter than it used to be, isn't it? And a lot, are things in place to change the high street, or is the high street?
Yeah, I think in my view, I think the high street's going to become a place where we're changing the bus station and making the front more amiable for relaxation. And so, like when you go to Gunwharf and you can sit on the restaurants, I think that would be an ideal thing for Gosport to be, where people would come. We're on the seaside town, and I speak to people and I say, where are you from? And they say, oh, I'm from Southampton. We get the bus down and we love it here. Do you know what I mean? And if you've got more restaurants and cafes,
Yes.
I think we've got to. Everything's changing because of the internet, and people have got leisure time. But it's nice to be by the sea, isn't it?
It's beautiful. We're very lucky to where we live, aren't we?
Everywhere you go, within a mile or so, you're on the sea, aren't you? So,
I used to work for Tourism South East.
Oh, right.
So I worked in the tourism office,
Right.
and I used to find it quite funny how people would come across on the ferry and think they were in the Isle of Wight.
Oh.
I realise how much history we have around Gosport as well, don't we? We have so much.
Definitely.
Here.
It's amazing when I went to the Gosport Society and they told us that in 1820 there were 6,000 people living in Gosport in a half-mile radius of the sea, pubs.
Really? Really?
600 pubs in that
My
small,
goodness.
that tiny area. When you think how many thousands are living in the whole of Gosport, I'm just talking from here to the ferry, how many people live there? And of course the pubs were it's better than the water.
And the Navy made a big difference to
course.
Gosport, didn't it?
Yeah.
The Navy cutting back has slowed things down a bit in Gosport.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it's all our lives it's been a naval town, hasn't it? And we're proud of the fact that so many people in the Navy helped regenerate Gosport. For instance, Kevin's mum and dad built a church in Bridgemerry. It's a lovely story, but they got the funding for that. And I remember my father-in-law saying when they were going out trying to raise funds, the Navy people were the most generous and helped them build the church there. So the Navy's been wonderful in all ways, involved in the community. And then of course we've got 4,000 veterans living in Gosport. So
Have we really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's so it's lovely to know that they're feeling it's home.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about you then, a bit about, you say you're in business in Gosport and you've lived here.
Yeah, I was born in Eastbourne Avenue, and at the Hardway D-Day celebrations I did a little speech about the invasions and the D-Day landings. Obviously Hardway was really important, and I was born in Eastbourne Avenue in Elson, and I told the story about my mother and father. I was a surprise to them. I came quite a few years later, but during the war, they came out of the Anderson shelter and Eastbourne Avenue was bombed to the ground, and all they had was this one plate. In their entire life, that's all they had. And all they were pleased was they could have been dead, couldn't they, if they'd have stayed in the house, obviously. So I was telling everybody about this plate, but I also said how wonderful it was that when the house was rebuilt 12 years later, I was born in that house. So do you know what I mean? So it's quite a wonderful, but I've still got the plate, haven't I? Yeah. So, but my father was a local builder, entrepreneur. He did all sorts of projects all over Gosport, and one of the main ones he did later in his life was start the self-build at Bridgemerry. and that used to be the big
Really?
field.
Yes.
So because he was a master builder, he was the first one to be the foreman of the first self-build there. So then all the people got beautiful houses. They had to work hard, obviously, because they were working in the day and having to work weekends and evenings, but they all ended up with lovely houses. And so that was a great project.
Okay.
And like I say, Kevin's dad, when Kevin was very ill as a baby, he promised God that if you save my wife and son, I'll build you a church in Bridgemary. And 7 years later, that's what it was all there.
Wonderful.
And it's still there now, 60 years later, and it's my ward and it's where we worship. So quite wonderful.
So really, you have seen a huge change in gospel, haven't you, over the years?
Absolutely.
What would you say your biggest change is?
Many, isn't there? I think that the industry, the factories used to be all along the Fareham Road, didn't they? Ultra and all those sort of, didn't they? You know, and that meant there was a lot of people who were getting employment there, and you know, making their living there, and then all that's virtually gone, hasn't it? All that. I think that's one of the biggest changes, isn't it? I suppose where it's gone abroad, and you know.
I don't, I'm not being rude, but I feel it's quite sad how Gosport is at the moment. The other day on the news, when I saw the crime of those kids on the car, I felt really sad, because I've lived in Gosport all my life. I love the town, I love where I've grown up, and it seemed like that tiny little was a reflection on us, and I know that there are things in place to stop it.
But at the same time, I think, where we've lived in Gosport all our lives, and I've seen hooligans bringing up hooligans, there's no doubt about that, but there are so many good young people in Gosport who help. There was a video on there the other day about at the BMX park, a little lad was having his first go, and these older boys stopped and helped him, and his mum was there, but do you know what I mean? And they encouraged him, and you just think, and we've met scouts and brownies who are just wonderful people, and future generations of Gosport who could be great assets. So I like to look on the good side.
On the good side.
I know there are some, but hopefully we'll, one of the things that I'm hoping to do, I'm meeting him on Thursday at my mayor making. I did speak about a young man called Chris, who is a wrestler, a fun wrestler, and he's going to do some fundraising, but he's terribly interested in getting involved in schools about knife crime, because he's a big lad, he's got long hair, he's a wrestler, he's what children could equate to, but he's the most gentle giant, and I think he could do some wonderful things. So I'm hoping when we meet on Thursday that we'll get something up and running with that, and he would be a really good support to
I think you're right. I think there are lots of good kids in the town.
Definitely.
But the light doesn't shine on them so often, does it?
You always hear the bad, don't you? You always hear the bad. But we've met some wonderful children, haven't we? My goodness, yeah.
So
but we've always, we've always been part of the community and always policed our own shops, but at the same time given them a chance to excel. When I was on the Board of Governors at Woodcott School, I was Vice Chairman there for 12 years, I set up a thing with the police where people were shoplifting, and the head teacher at the time, Mrs. Gill, she's still about, she said, well, go on, you get on with it. So what I did was I wrote a play, and I did a mock courtroom with the year at the top of the school, and the magistrates from Fareham and Gosport came, and the children were the magistrates, and I mean they wanted to put their little boy away for stealing a Mars bar for about 6 months, and they were really, really tough. And then we had the police, 3 police officers in, and they talked about what they call dobbing in, and is it the right thing to do, and all that. And then we did the play about a lad who was persecuted by his peer group and made to go shoplifting, and the whole thing. And I remember a lad coming up to me after about 10 years and saying, Mrs. Jones, after that, he said, I've never stolen a thing in my life. And I thought, that's brilliant. And I wonder whether, I've said to a couple of head teachers whether you could bring that in with drugs and knife crime and, make it
because even if it just influences one,
well, there you go.
That makes a difference.
The 10 people that were in my play never got into trouble. Do you know what I mean? But the parents came in as well. And I think the parents came in as well, and I think you need to involve the whole family and things like that, don't you? And not be worried about saying, actually, that's wrong, Yeah.
It's hard for them though, isn't it? It's hard because I think I had a son, and they get to an age where they need to be. My mum had 5 kids, and she said keep them busy. She said that's the only advice I can give you. When they get to that age, keep them busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if they're busy,
or in scouts, or in, isn't it? You know, all my grandchildren and our sons were involved in sport, and thank God they've never been in any trouble.
Yeah.
Because they've always been too busy. You know, they get down from the tea table and they're straight out playing sport, and then with teams and helping others. You know, and then they just learn values in life.
Yeah. So what about your charity? Your Motivate, is it?
Yeah, Motivate. Yeah, it is a smashing charity. I went. They really impressed me one day when I went along to one of their open days, and they sat all of us. Because there's a lot of people there. All of us in a circle, and somebody in the middle, and we had to role play. So somebody is the mother in the middle, and like I was the doctor, the welfare person, the head teacher, all the way round. And what they were saying was when they have a problem with a child, a mother and the family all suffer as well as the child.
Right.
So therefore they had a piece of wool, and the piece of wool went from one person to the other, and so you could see how she could get knotted up literally in all the protocol of seeing all these people. And Motivate go in and help the whole family. They help the child who's having trouble or in trouble and help them out of it, and they help the siblings as well to understand, you know, because there's a lot of time spent with a person who maybe is not so good at the moment, and less with the and you can get more trouble, can't you?
Yes.
And that's that was what really influenced me into supporting them, because they're just marvellous, and kids can go back even when they're grown up. If they've got a bit of problem, they can go and talk to somebody.
Do they do activities then?
Yeah, they do drama, they do music, they do all sorts of things, which is absolutely wonderful. And also, what really impressed me, after 20 years, there was a couple of young people who'd come back and volunteered to help, and then 2 of them who'd actually got employed by the trust to help other people.
Oh, wow.
So and you think, well, you know, that is really good.
So it really is.
Yeah, really. So I'm very keen on, you know, I was a Brownie and a Guiders myself. And I know I said to you, sport's a good thing to be in, but I think that children learn such values from Brownies and Scouts, and I'm
well, they
interested
need
in
role
helping
models
them.
too, don't they?
Totally,
They need people to look up to,
Yeah.
and some children haven't got those. It's not their fault.
No,
they haven't got
absolutely.
those role models.
And I think if you've got a good leader in Brownies or Guides or whatever, but of course the other thing is a lot of people are so busy, they're lacking, the Scout troops are lacking leaders, and they really need some more volunteers. But if people volunteers, it's such a worthwhile, wonderful thing.
Yeah. So do you do much with voluntary action? Because it's Gosport Voluntary Action, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Loud and Proud are part of that. So,
I know Loud and Proud.
Yeah. So they're a smashing group,
Yeah.
and we were just at the awards for the allotments on Saturday. And Loud and Proud won an award, and I was really pleased, because in my speech I did say about the fact that they had this initiative where they're teaching young people to grow, and they've got their own allotment, and then they won that award, and I didn't know they were winning it, so it was really glad. I was so pleased to sort of promote them, and then they were there, so so that was good.
Yeah, no, they are a wonderful group, and
wonderful people as well.
Yes,
so much time. There's so many people in Gosport giving so much of their time for nothing, for other people's to exceed, and I think it's you know, I think it's a wonderful place.
Yes,
really wonderful.
And we don't hear of that though, do we?
And that's why I'm not worried about your tale with the police people.
No.
We'll sort that out. Let's concentrate. I think we should big up the good people. You know.
I think that's the bit that upset me though when I saw that on the TV, is that everyone was talking about that, but no one was talking about any of the good stuff.
No.
They only talk about the bad stuff.
Well, it makes newspapers.
And they kept showing it over, and in fact I couldn't watch it. I turned the TV off because I was upset at what I was seeing. And I know for a fact that there are good people in Gosport.
That
it's
doesn't
not
reflect
all...
our youth.
No. So, and with all these wonderful activities that's going on as well, with the different youth projects too. So yeah. What about events? Have you been to any good events since you've been?
Oh, I mean, I think we're up to 115 events in the first 3 months, which is rather good.
So where are you in your...
3 months. We're 3 months in today.
You're 3 months in,
tomorrow.
are you?
Yeah, tomorrow, 3 months in tomorrow.
Just gone past 3 months.
Yeah, so we've got another 9 months to go. But it's been amazing, absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Meeting so many people And when I go out to somewhere else, somebody will say, I didn't know the mayor could come. Would you come tomorrow? And I go, yeah, right into the office, we'll come. And Kevin keeps going, one week we had 18 events, didn't we? But no, it's absolutely amazing. But it's just...
So you did D-Day?
Yeah, it's a D-Day with the Queen and Trump, and Kevin had his picture taken with Mr. Trump, which was lovely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And he was charming. And we've had the D-Day at Stokes Bay, and we've had the D-Day at Hardway, which was terrific. You know, all those people, over 1,000 people came down, and it was just wonderful, wonderful celebrations.
Yeah.
You know, we should be proud of what our people did, and we're just, people like you and I are so grateful that so many people gave up their lives. But people are still giving up their lives to help other people. And that's what I want to, you know, big up. I'm doing this on the 5th of October, we're doing this 10-hour dance-a-thon outside here in Lawrence Square. And the whole point of it is obviously for people to have half an hour slots to dance and get sponsorship for my charities. That's what it's all about. But at the same time, they can bring a table and showcase their charity or their club. Because, you know, like say if you wanted to be an actor, there's a couple of acting places, but you'd think, oh, I'm not good enough. But when you meet these people and they're just normal people like you and me, they'll say, come on, come along and try a bit, you know. And I want the Gosport community to know all the other things in the community. So I'm hoping it's going to be a really nice family fun day, but a good community spirit.
So people are sponsoring.
Yeah, so we're sending it out just today, sending it out to all the schools and everywhere. Everywhere I've been, I've mentioned it to people. So you've got old people from the shed who are going to be dancing in their tutus, and you've got brownies and guides and school children, and we've got a 80-year-old choir.
And how long will they be dancing for?
Half an hour slots, you see.
Okay.
Half an hour slots, and there's 4 groups dancing all at once, and then they can showcase their charity by having a table. Nothing's to be sold around there, just given out, and community spirit. Yeah, like the lead players are going to come, and so that people might want to join the lead players, and the pantomime people are coming. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a great.
It does sound like it's going to be a great day.
And the other thing is, when I've gone around and I've seen retailers on, you know, they are able to get a market stall in the high street, so it might make the high street busier. And I'm hoping it's going to be a great community event for Gosport.
Did you want to chat a little bit about the regeneration of Gosport?
Yeah, well, we are moving the bus station and clearing up the waterfront, and of course we've been given some funding because it's made into Gosport's been made into a heritage zone, so some parts of Hasler are being restored and looked after in their original, and then some of it will be built on, but not in the immediate future. It all takes time. You know, but I think with regeneration, like housing, I think we're very, very in comparison with the rest of the country, we've got a huge volume of houses per square foot. One of the
there's quite a bit happening at Douglas, isn't there? With the regeneration there.
Yeah, because Douglas is only 20% Gosport and 80% Fareham.
Yes, I didn't realise that. I didn't realise that because I always thought it was all Gosport.
Yeah. No.
But so part of it is Fareham, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's the borderline there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Gosport part is where we've got the Hovercraft Museum and all that, which is just wonderful.
Yes.
And of course, the hovercraft coming in again after all this time is quite a wonderful thing for the town. I think there's great things going to happen in Gosport.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, it was lovely talking to you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.